Everybody, Heather here. Thanks for joining me for coloring. Today we're going to be coloring this super cute Tilda with Saffron Buns image by Magnolia. This card kit is already sold out in the store, but there are a bunch of other Christmas card kits if you are still making Christmas cards for you to grab up. I will go ahead and put links down in the description box to everything else I'm used on the card here in case you're interested in any of the snowflakes or any of this other stuff. And as always, I would love for you to come shopping with me over at Heather's Hobby Haven. So I've already stamped my image on Nina 80-pound solar white cardstock with Memento Tuxedo black ink. So let's color. Alright, so to start out, my image actually, she's sitting on this brick wall right here that does not come with the image. I drew that on, so I'm going to give you a quick how-to on that, and it's not hard. You can do it yourself. So let's go ahead and start by adding those bricks right onto our image. So I started out, I have a clear ruler, and I'm just going to set it down on her, and I want my bricks to start underneath of her fanny. So I'm going to move my line up just a little bit so that it's not right underneath of her bottom there. And I love that this ruler it's clear so I can see through it, but it also has all these other great lines like on the side. So I'm going to line up my 3 so it's straight over here. And I'm going to take my pencil, and I'm just going to draw a quick line right across, and let's start on the outside of this little leaf right here, and go like this. And then I'm going to move my ruler down, and I'm just going to kind of guesstimate. And also my piece is it's not cut out in the spellbinder die like yours is going to be, so I'm just going to wing it. I need a little bit more space when I'm coloring it, turning it and stuff on the video, so I didn't cut her all the way out. Okay, and then for the third line, it looks like it comes down and it kind of goes between her toes. So let's go ahead and do one right here. Like that, and then of course your thing would be cut off down here. And then I took my ruler and I turned it sideways, and again I just am going to line up one of my lines here at the top on one of my already drawn lines, and I'm going to add a line. And then I'm going to move it over because I want to off space it, and on this next section down here I'm going to add a line. And then let's do one in between her feet. So how about right here on this brick? And then up here, I'm going to do one right here underneath where her fanny is kind of stopping. And then also, even though I'm going to cut it off down here, I'm going to put a little line down here because it's going to fall off down here at the bottom. And I should have done one over here, so I'll go back and do that one in a second. And then I do another one on this second brick. And let me go back over here where I added this first one right here, and again put one right here. So there, I've drawn my little bricks on there, and next I'm going to take my Copic multi-liner in it's 0.05, and I just went, and you could skip the whole pencil part if you're not worried and just do it with your pen, but I was worried that I would mess it up, so I did my pencil first, and then I'm just going to go back with my multi-liner and draw these lines in. And I just go all completely over the top. Whoops. Got a little crazy with that one. We'll make it a little bit wider. Like that with my multi-liner, and then I took my pencil and I just went back over with my eraser and erased the lines. And then I've got my bricks already made up there for me, and we're going to color those in. All right, so let's start by outlining our image with W0. And so I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to start at these little leaves she's got right here, and just kind of go in between those. And she's got some little dots right there. I'm going to get those, and I'll go right around her. And she's got a little space right here in between her hair and her body that is background, so I'm going to add a little color in there. And I'm going to continue all the way around to the other side. Let's go up here, around her little heart on her hat, and back down around her hair. And then again, right in here between her hair and her body, she's got a little bit of background space, so I'm going to color that in. And work my way down here to these cute little leaves she's got right next to her. Quick and easy, but I give her just a little bit of dimension. Next, let's work on our bricks down here, and for that we're going to use W4, W2, W0 in our colorless blender. I'm going to start with my W4. And I want to do a small line right up here next to all of my lines that I already drew in with my pen. I'm just going to go down. Do that, and let's get this side. I'm going to grab W2, and I tried to not make it difficult. They're bricks, so I don't care if they're just, they don't have to be perfect. Not for me. I'm just going to go exactly down, and we're going to add a little shadow next to her foot there too, so let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll go over the top of those lines we just colored in. And remember, your piece is cut out already, so it's going to cut off down here before mine does. Shadow here around her foot, and again go over the top of this line. Next we're going to grab W0, same thing, you want to go right over the top. So I'm just going to go right over the top of that, add a little shadow on this side. Just blend in those colors together. And a little bit above this line here too. Let's add a little bit more shadow over here on this one. I forgot this side. But I want to go above the lines over here too. Okay, and then I'm going to take my colorless blender, and I'm just going to go over the entire area. And I want to go over my lines and out into my white space. And don't forget to do between her legs there. Got tongue-tied. Next, I'm going to take my W4 marker, and I want to add some dots. So I'm just going to go right next to her, and each of these lines, and add some shadow dots. Let's go down here. And just work your way along. And they're going to be different sizes. I don't care about that. But the more you smush your pin down, the bigger your dots are going to be. So if you want smaller dots, be really quick, pouncing your pin up and down. If you want a few dots, only do a few. If you want a lot of dots, put those in there. It's just to add a little bit of more dimension to our lines for our bricks. I'm going to do this side. Like that. And if you wanted to go 2, you could add another color. So you could grab your next color, W2, and add a few of those in there if you wanted. More. Like that, and that just gives her a little bit of something to sit on. Next, let's go ahead and work on her face, and for that we're going to use E11, E21, E00, and E50 for her skin, and for her cheeks I'm going to use R43, R20, and R30. I'm going to start with my E11. And let's add a little bit of shadow down here to her neck. So I'm just going to use just barely the tip of my pen and go right along her sleeve there and underneath of her chin. And then for her face, I want to go up here underneath of her bangs. And she's got a little bit of space there. It looks like her bangs kind of part a little bit. I'm going to use a little bit of color in there. And I want to bring this color around down here to her shoulder. Next, I'm going to go with E21. So I'm going to touch down on top of my last color, and I'm going to brush that out a little bit more into my white. Same for up here. We're going to touch down on top of our E11 and feather that color out further into her face. And this time I'm going to bring this color around on this side of her face. Add a little bit of shadow over here. Then I'm going to grab E00. Same thing, we want to touch down on top of E21 and just add some more color. And work this color all the way around to the other side. And next we have E50. So fill in her neck down here. And this color I want to bring from clear from the edge up into my white space. So because it's kind of got a yellow base, so I want to add that to the rest of my colors. And I got a little bit of white space there, but I'm going to leave that until after I do her cheeks. So I'm going to grab R43. I'm going to touch down right on the edge of her cheeks and bring that color in just a little bit inside those little dots she's got for her cheeks. Already painted on there for us. And then grab R20. And then R30. I think I'm going to take R43 again and just add a little bit more color here on the edge. Then I'm going to take my E11, and I'm going to start over here. I'm going to feather a little bit of that color over the top of that cheek. And then I'm going to grab E21. And we'll do the same thing on this side. I got a little bit of a line up here, so I'm going to go ahead and add some color up there at the top and down here at the bottom. And then E00 is next. And we'll go over our cheek. And that line I got going on here at the bottom. And at the top, I'm going to soften that. And then I'm going to fill it all the way in with my E50. And then I want her cheeks to be a little bit more pink, so I'm going to take my R43 again. And go over those, and then I'm going to take my E00 and just go over the top of that real quick to soften that up. Now let's work on her hair, and for that we're going to use E44, E34, E55, and E30. I'm going to start with my E44, and I want to add some shadows in here. So let's go down here and start at the bottom of this pigtail, and where it kind of bends in, I'm going to add a little bit of my darkest color in there. Same for each little section. So I'm just going to work my way up and add a little bit of color in there. And this one right here kind of looks like it comes out from behind. So I'm going to very carefully use just the tip of my pen to add some color there. And then where it's coming out away from her face, add a little bit of color. And let's see, right here it's going underneath behind her cheek, so I'm going to add some color in there, and then just work my way, oh, right here, well, let's do right here too, where it's coming out from underneath this section that's on the top, and then this little bend right here, and then I want to add color right up here at the top where it's coming out from underneath of her hat. I'm just going to softly go right along the edge using just the tip of my pen and add a little bit of color up there. And I try to keep my streaks going in the direction that her hair is growing. So I follow the lines that the artist has already put on there for me. And then right here where her bangs look like they're tipping, I'm going to add a little color in there. And then let's add some color to each of these little bends in her hair. And down here at the bottom of this curly Q, I want to add a little bit. And let's go up here. And where it's kind of curling over right here. And then of course where it's coming out from behind her cheek, I want to add a little bit. Okay, next I'm going to grab E34. And I want to add some color on top of that last color. So I'm just going to start over here and work my way back to the other side. And remember, go with the streaks with this direction your hair is growing. Work our way over to this other side like that. Next we're going to grab E55, same thing, we're just going to go right over the top of that last color, add some more dimension, and when I color by myself, I have my paper going all over the place. I'm twisting and turning it and keeping my direction going. That's a lot easier. I try to hold still when I'm doing the videos for you guys so it stays upright. It does make it more difficult, but I'm getting better. And then I want to fill it in with my E30. So I'm just going to go down here at the bottom and work my way over to the other side. And I try to go over all of the colors I already laid down so that I can blend all those colors together. And then I go back with my darkest color, which is E44, and I add just a little bit of streaks back in. And I don't necessarily go over the streaks that I had last time, but I try to make them, you know, skinny and maybe a little bit longer. Now let's go ahead and work on her gloves and accents on her outfit and her socks. For that, we're going to use G24, G21, and G20. So I'm going to start with my G24. And let's go up here and just do the collar of her shirt first. So I'm going to add a little bit of that. I'm just going to color in this little section over here because that's pretty dinky. And then I want to add a little bit right here where the bow is for her basket is touching her shirt. And then up here on this side, and maybe just a little tiny dab right along the seam. And then for the gloves, I'm going to go down here and we're going to go right along the bottom of this one. And then I'm going to bring this color up just a little bit more with my flicking switch here. I'm going to flick that color up. So as I touch down at the bottom, it's darker, and as I pull my finger up towards this way, the line gets smaller for me. And then also for this glove, we're going to go right along here. And let's go ahead and let me turn her a little bit. And again, I want to flick that color up a little bit. Like that. Then I'm going to grab G21. And we want to add a little bit more color up here, so let's go right up here on top of her little blouse. Leaving some white there. Add some shading up here. And we'll do this glove. We'll grab G20 and we're going to fill it in. So let's go up here and do her little bodice first. And then of course her gloves. I'm going to go ahead and do this color from the bottom all the way up. I'm going to smush those colors together. Same for this. I'm going to go ahead and fill it in up here first. And then I'm going to take my marker all the way from the bottom and run it across all of those colors up towards the edge. And that will just blend those colors together a little bit better. Let's also go down here and do the ruffles on her pants. So again, I've grabbed G24, and I want to just go right along the edge there. Same for this one. We're going to go right along the edge, and there's a couple little wrinkles in there, or creases, and I'm going to go ahead and go down those lines just to add color. And then for her socks down here, I gave the soles of her socks a little bit of color. So let's go ahead and do this side and that side. And next we got G21. So we add a little bit to our sock. And then soften this edge up here. And then I'm going to fill it in with G20. And I'm not worried about it being perfect, because I'm going to take my Stickle Stardust after I get her all colored, and I'm going to stick it right over the top of this little ruffle on her pants. So it's going to be all sparkly and shimmery, and you're not going to see much of that if you didn't get the lines all exactly the way you want it. So while we have the greens out, let's go ahead and do these leaves too, and for that we're going to use G24 and G20. So I start with my G24 and I just went down the middle of each of these little leaves. And then I filled them in with my G20. Next, let's go do the heart on her hat and this towel that's holding the cookies. And I also use this colors down here on her alternate stripes, and it looks like when I did the instructions, I forgot to add it in there. So we're going to use E43, E42, and E41 also down here on the stripes on her sock. Let's start up here at this cute little heart on her hat. I'm going to start with my E43, and I'm going to do a little dab here in the center. And then I'm just going to bring this color around to the edge. Then I'm going to grab E43 or E42, and I want to go right over the top of that last color. So I'm covering in this side over here and just leaving a white space for my E41 on this side. Like that. Then let's go down here and do our little towel. So again, I'm going to grab E43. And let's start over here where it looks like her glove is touching the towel. And I'm going to cover that in. And then for these little bows, I'm going to do a little dab right in the center of each. And then let's bring this color down here. I'm going to bring this line out a little bit more, like that. And then for this side, same thing. I want to do each of these little bows just a little bit in the center. And then we're going to bring this down along her hand. I want to make some dark in there. But I also want to bring this line out. So we got a little bit of shading in there. And then she's got this over here. Let's add some shadow on this side. And next we're going to grab E42. And let's work our way over. And then E41 to fill the rest of that area in. And I wanted to exaggerate my shadows on my towel, so I'm going to grab E43 again. And I'm just going to go back and add that back in. And then I just left it like that. I didn't blend it again. So now let's go down here and we're going to do her socks. So I'm going to start with E43. And let's do this bottom one. And then we're going to skip one. Because we want some red in there. And then skip the next one. And then I skipped this. And I made this top one a brown one. Let's go ahead too and add some color on this side of our stripes. Alright, and then for this sock, we're going to do this one, and then skip one, and then skip one, around our sole there. And then I did this little section right here up underneath that little ruffle I made brown. I'm going to grab E42 next. I just want to soften the edge. So I'm touching down on top of my 43. And what did I do over here? This one I had come down around like this. And then I fill it in with my E41. Let's go ahead and do these cookies up here now. So for that, we're going to use E53 and E50. I'm going to take E53 first, and let's add some shadows. So some of these cookies have little swirls. So I'm just going to go right over the top of the little swirl and add some shadows in there. And this one here has an edge, so I'm going to go ahead and just go over the edge of that. And let's do the bottom of this one. And then there's a couple down here where you can see next to the edge of the basket. And let's go ahead and do some of these spaces in here look like there's like stuff behind. So I'm just going to go where it looks like it's kind of in the background and add some color. And now I'm going to take my E50 and just go right over the top. And blend that both the colors together. So that leaves us with our reds. So for that, we're going to use E09, E08, R29, R27, and R24. I'm going to go ahead and start up here at her hat. I'm going to start with my E09, and I'm going to add where I want to have some shadows. So let's go ahead, and the hat right here already has some cute little dots on there. So I'm going to just use a small amount and follow those dots. Like that. And let's go ahead and bring this line down here. And we're going to bring this up a little bit. And then over here, she's got a little wrinkle in her hat that I'm going to add some color to. Next, I'm going to go with E08, and we want to add some color on top of that. So I'm going right over the top of it, but I'm making my line bigger. Next, we got R29. So I'm going to go ahead and tip my girl a little bit here, because I want to be able to flick my paper, or flick my pin a little bit. So I want to start at the edge of my hat and go over both of those colors and go past just a little bit. If you're worried about going outside the lines, you can always do just a line on the edge there, so you don't have to worry about getting quite so close. Now red, I left red till last because I'm constantly just making a mess out of it. Okay, then I'm going to grab R27 next. Bring this color around over here. And I'm going to bring this one up a little bit. I think I'll actually too do down here where her hat kind of goes behind her hair there a little bit. And then I want to fill it in with my R24. like that. Next, let's go down here and I'm going to do her socks next. We'll leave her outfit till last. So again, I'm going to start with my E09, and we're going to add some shadows. So let's go ahead and do that right along the edges. And a little bit on this side. And then next is E08. And R29, and again I want to go from the very edge, so I want to go over both of those last colors and bring this color out past just a little bit. The browns added the shadows, dark shadows in there for me, but I want to cover that brown up with some red. Next we have R27. And then R24 to fill it in. Alright, that leaves us with her outfit. So again, let's start with E09. And let's go up here and right above the cookie basket, let's add some color to her sleeve. And then looks like I made it a cookie this time, but I'm going to go ahead and make a little bit of this her shirt. And then she's got her little spots for her shirt in here too. Let's add a little bit of shadow down here. And then E08, a little bit of color on top of that. And R29. R27. And I'm going to use this just a little bit down here in the crook of that cookie. And then fill it in with R24. Let's go down here and do the bottom. So again, I've grabbed E09. And let's do that right along the edge here. And she's got a couple little wrinkles right here. But I also want to go underneath of her glove and underneath this basket. And right along the edge of her leg, like that. Let's go down the shadow of this leg. And like this. She's got a little wrinkle right here in her pants, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little color on. And we'll bring this wrinkle around. And on this side, again, she's got a couple of little spots that look like they should be a shadowed area in. Oh, and under her pants down here, so let's go ahead and do those just a little bit. Next, we're going to go with E08, and you want to add a little bit of color on top. So I'm just going to go back over all those lines and just make them a little bit wider. Let's do R29 next. I'm going to go ahead and fill in underneath this basket. I'm going to quickly go over all my lines first, so I don't have to worry about going outside or getting it on my green here. I think I'll bring this line up a little bit. And let's bring this side up too. And then I'm going to go with R27. And I'm going to smooth out underneath my basket here with this color. And then I'm going to fill it in with my R24. Next, I'm going to add some white dots to my cheeks with my Sharpie white paint pen, and I shook my pen with a lid on before I got started, so now I'm just going to add my little dots. So let's add 3 little dots to each cheek. And then I also, this time, added a couple of dots to my gloves down here. Just going to add some highlights on my gloves. So I also, remember I did some Sticko clear pin in her hair, and then for her ruffles down here in her pants I added some Stickle Stardust. And then again, here is the finished card. But isn't it pretty? And I love these snowflakes. This is a La La Land die. I think it's a heart snowflake die, but they're so pretty. But I hope you had fun coloring with me today. If you have a question, go ahead and leave me a comment, and I will get back to you. I'm happy to answer all questions. And if you like the video, if you could go ahead and hit the like button, that'd be awesome. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that so that you can be notified when new videos come out. All right, so I hope you had a great time, and we'll see you next time. Bye.